Kingsland's over, and unfortunately, we lost. Here's what happened. Starting off from where we left off in the last video, which was describing everything that happened before Kingsland, we were doing anything in our power to get ready for the fight ahead. We used up a majority of our gems max spinning egg events. We opened up and rerolled armaments. All the little mundane but necessary micro adjustments to be as powerful as possible for the upcoming Kingsland. We came into Kingsland at 87.6 million power with max crystal tech running 6 marches. I ran a 2-2-2 setup, meaning 2 infantry, 2 cavalry, and 2 archers. My 2 infantry marches was Guan Yu with Scipio and Liu Che with Alex. My 2 cavalry pairs was Nevsky with Joan of Arc Prime with Huaqi Bing and William. And finally, my 2 archer pairs was Zhuge Liang and Herman Prime, and Boudica with Nebu, which I shortly switched over to YSG. I'm actually still torn between the Boudica Nebu or Boudica YSG pairing. In a situation like Kingsland, where you're expected to do as much damage as possible, sad face and no walking back, I felt like the glass cannon did more overall for the murder ball than the Boudica with Nebu, which is good for those short extended trades. So back to Kingsland. One interesting thing that our side actually did was we switched sides, to where us in Earth Camp 1166 and 2268 was matched up against Wind Camp 2429. Throughout all of KVK up to this point, we switched sides with Fire Camp in 1875. So 1875 went over to the right side to match up against 2429, while we went over to the left side to match up against the 3 A seeds, 1903, 2074, and 2375. 1875 and 2429 got to the head-to-head that they wanted, while we were able to test Water Camp to see how they could hold up in Kingsland. Now that the stage is set, here's how Kingsland went. When the passes opened, I felt like us in Earth Camp's opening was quite explosive. We were able to build up a territory advantage pretty fast, building and branding flags during the 1 hour of Skillful Craftsman. We ended up carving quite a big amount of territory for ourselves. But once the dust started to settle, it became clear that the kingdoms in Water Camp wasn't going to give this Kingsland for free. 3 fronts with water started to form. We had the SC versus 1903 front, maybe half to maybe 3/4 of 2268 was allocated to push towards the pass, which 1903 was defending heavily. We had the AM group in the middle, which was where I was streaming from, whose job was to push the flag lines of 2074. Finally, we had the 1166 group to the far right next to the Ziggurat, where they faced off against 2375. The first couple of hours of Kingsland was a bloodbath. However, we started to gain more and more territory as the Water Camp went into their downtime. Water Camp didn't free burn, however. They would heal their flags, put in a garrison just to delay the flag burns by a little bit. They'd also back flags so that every single time we burnt a flag, it only gave us a tile of space. This proved to be really important because as the hours dwindled, so did our numbers. And though I stayed up 20 hours streaming the fights, we were not able to kick them out of Kingsland within that day. Although we were really close. We were so close to kicking them out of Kingsland, but they got up at the right time. During their uptime, they were able to burn a significant amount of progress and put us in the defensive for a couple of hours. In day 2 of Kingsland, it was more of the same against us and Water Camp. However, we were starting to feel pressure from 2429 on the other side of the map. During day 1, 1875 and 2429 seemed to be going back and forth, but during 1875's downtime, 2429 was able to gain a lot of territory. Because of this, 1875 was feeling the pressure from 2429, and we were too. To help relieve this pressure, we started to send some people to build over towards the right side, trying to at least keep them honest and make sure that they can't build towards the side for free. However, 2429 did the smart thing, and they actually ignored the flag lines that we were burning. They continued the relentless pressure against 1875 to where they were able to capture both of 1875's passes by the end of day 2. And by day 3, 2429 was getting too much territory for us to leave them alone, so we tried one final push with 1875 to get some territory down. However, they held steadfast against the 2 of us, and although we were able to win a couple murder balls, they were overall able to hold the territory that they had. Meanwhile, Watercamp was able to regain all of the territory that we gained throughout the past 3 days. It ended up being too much, where us and our allies decided to pull the plug. Now we are currently a couple days removed from Kingsland, so here are the current rankings. For Alliance Power, it is 2429 at 15.2 billion power, and then we have 1903 at 12.8, and then we have 2268 in SV at 11.6. I'll continue to scroll down, but you can see that the Alliance powers have definitely dropped from each of our alliances and kingdoms, especially with how much we've been fighting and dropping power. But one thing that's gone up is alliance kills, where 2429 is at 1.4 trillion kills, 1875 close behind though at 1.1 trillion, and then we have 2268 861 billion, and then we could go ahead and see the rest of the kingdoms and alliances here. Individual powers, BT Cyborg still up there, 624 million power, Peppa Pig at 369, we got Slinger at 207, Peacemaker all the way down at 192 million power. I think he started off at like maybe at like 250. I'm not exactly too sure. I'd have to look back at the video to see, but a lot of power dropped. We are down at 1,000 plus at 65.3 million power, so not even in the top 1,000 for this KVK. But we are in the top 100 for kills. We did gain 3 billion KP this KVK. Peacemaker though also gaining, I think he gained about 8 billion, 9 billion at 61.3 billion overall. Super impressive from him. You could go ahead and see the rest of the kill points in this KVK. We're all the way down in 78th place at 13 billion overall. So a pretty decent performance, but unfortunately it did not lead to a win. We'll obviously be doing a video once the KVK ends to see how much we've spent in this KVK from beginning to end. So yeah, it was overall a fun KVK to play. GG's to both sides. Shout out to 1166 for probably being one of the best A-seed allies I think we ever had. 1875 for sticking it out with us for another KVK. I know it's been tough for the both of us coming off of 960. Shout out to Watercamp for doing their job and holding off the lines when they could and pushing when we were over at 2429. And of course, shout out to 2429 for showing their strength and, you know, being the strongest kingdom this KVK. And last but not least, shout out to 2268 for yet another fun KVK. Unfortunately, we weren't able to get the win, but nonetheless, it was a very fun KVK, and I feel like with the performance that you can be pretty satisfied that we laid it all on the line, and even dropping out of Imperium during the Kingsland fight. Whether you plan to retire, leave, or stay, it was an honor playing with you this KVK. For my personal plans, I am planning on staying in 2268. I feel like we have something good building here, a good core group of players, and the KVKs we've been playing, even though, you know, we've lost a couple of them recently, they've always been fun to play. So if you liked what you saw from 2268, I'm sure we will have migration available soon. So go ahead and check the migration link in the description of this video, and I'll catch you guys later. Peace.